Yeah, that's so. But but the thing that I think I can like show you guys and like help you guys with is like you can be here next year. You can be here next year. And I will show you guys how I got here now. So you can get here next year. And I'll be like super proud of you guys next year, right? Can you promise me that? Do this! Right? So let's do this. So right. Okay, so there's a few works of mine here. Okay. So these are all recent work. Everything that I'm showing right now is recent work. Recently, I love games. I do love working for games and building games. I did game design on my university, like my degrees on game design, and I love like creating weird stuff. My paintings are all based on weird things and how I view the world. Like something that is very reminiscent on every talk that I see here is like me, I really like my world, I go crazy, and I identify a lot with that. I do really go crazy on my view on the world, and I like to give glimpses to people of different kinds of worlds, and I think that's the best part of games, like you taking a little glimpse into a different type of world, like creating weird characters. There are some client work in there as well, like this one for Hex, but mostly it's all fan art and personal work, right? So these are the things that I do right now, this past year or so. But there was like, yeah, Bubblegum, she's awesome. Yeah, I do love Adventure Time. Yeah. So these are all recent, but behind all of this, right? Behind all of those drawings are a lot of failures, and I don't really show it to everyone. Some of you know it. You've seen my concept art.org days, right? But a lot of you didn't see like a lot of my studies and a lot of my struggles. So a little bit about myself. I come from Brazil. Yeah, it's like 10-hour flight. It was great. There was this Brazilian old lady singing. This time we just talking to the other Brazilian old ladies, and it was like 10 Brazilian old ladies, and it was crazy. Yeah, but in Brazil, we don't really have like a big industry. We actually have 0 big game companies in the entire country. And we have like more than 200 million people living there. So it's like insane. There are no big companies. And when I started out doing the painting thing, I was kind of depressed that we didn't have that. I didn't have anything to aim to inside Brazil. There was no like, oh, I can do that. Or maybe that's the blizzard, the Brazilian blizzard or something. There's nothing like that, right? So I could do two things at that time. I could just give up and say, oh, I don't want to do this. Or I could just go with my crazy mind and say, no, I don't care. We're going to build this, right, together. So I started to study. I started to study like whatever I could. I didn't know what to study, as I think most of you already had that problem. I didn't know what to study, where to start. So I just started with something. I'm just going to do something, and I hope it works out. And I'm here to show you a little bit about that process. So, yeah, all of these images are very recent, but behind all of this, right, I brought a folder with a few images, right? And so I can just scroll down here forever. This is most of my paintings since 2011, I think. There's like 1,400 files here right now. But there's not much client work. There's not much like university stuff. It's just the studies, right? Just the images that I did for studies. So it's not exactly on time order or anything. It's just like all the images. I used to save like, I decided to do this. I decided to just create a folder and name the first file 1, and then the second file 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then just going forever, right? And the next month I would create a new folder and just start again. And then next month a new folder and start again. That's a great, that helped me a lot because I couldn't like cheat because I was looking at all the drawings that I did. I couldn't say, oh, I kind of did draw this month. No, I had only 4 drawings. Yeah, I had only 4 drawings. The last month I had like 60. Some of the months, like the like the most productive months, I could have like 60 images or something, like 70 images. That was like studying every day. So what was I doing? I was going to university at the age of 16, I think. I started at the university, and I started to like study really like every day, all day, just think about painting, sleeping, dreaming about painting, and dreaming about drawings and values and weird stuff. But it was never exactly about the fundamentals. It was always about fun. Fundamentals would help me to build fun stuff, and just draw and paint my weird dreams and stuff. So you can see a lot of my studies in here, and I think that's helpful because you don't see like a lot of studies from a speaker. Like they usually just show good work here, and yeah. But yeah, I know you're awesome, but sometimes it's good to see like failure stuff. So I have a few of those studies. So for instance, like this. Oh, this is a study that I used to do. I would like just have a random word and just do a study. This is like I think 3 years old or 2 years old or something. So a lot of pencil work. Just this is really old. This is really old. Like a lot of studies like that. The word here is ice. I just started to just. Oh, why is it open here? Okay. Just started to do like master studies. This is a Zorn study. So if you open every image here, there's like a little bit of my time that I put at night after my course, and or in the morning, because I did go to university at like in the morning, and then after I'll just draw until the next day, right? And I did that because I really loved it, and because I think the pressure of not having industry in Brazil actually made me wanted more, right? Made me, like the pressure made me a bit crazy, just wanting it really hard, because I knew that no one would help me, or I couldn't just go to CalArts or just go to a university or college in the US, a good one, because in Brazil they also don't have great art schools. They didn't when I started out. And so it was really hard. I was just alone, like physically. But the whole point about this talk, you'll see, I hope, that you are not alone, really. You like, look at your side. You're not alone. You have a lot of people right beside you right now. People at home just pretend you're here, right? But yeah, you have a lot of people right beside you to help you, to just give critiques to you. And I used to do that a lot on forums, on the internet. Thank God I have the internet. That's super helpful. Yeah, I love this fact that we actually can ask critiques for someone like from the other side of the planet, actually. And it's really, really good. So all of those studies are basically my works before I got to this. So it was not, okay, I want to draw. Okay, done. It was not like this at all. It was like struggle I think you guys know that. It was struggle every day. It was like me hating my drawings, me thinking that I have some sort of problem that I cannot. I think it's just me. I think other people can draw, but not me. I have something, I have some sort of problem that I can draw. Everyone thinks that at some point. But the thing is that you have to work through it and just not be super harsh on yourself, but have courage. The whole point about this talk is have courage and know that you're not alone, right? And you will be here next year, okay? I promise you. So yeah, I'm not gonna flick through all of these drawings because that would be like the whole day, right? But there's like a lot of these are pretty recent, like line drawings, and then just some old files as well, like some unseen images, like anatomy studies. I was doing it all wrong. And then some line drawings again. This is not on order, but if you actually see this, it's like very easy to see it on the internet because you see like a portfolio on ArtStation or anywhere, and you just see, wow, this guy is so good, or oh my God, just finished paintings. He's never missed a painting in his life. It's always great. But there's a lot of fuck up here, guys. It's like, if I scroll down, you can see like the amount of stuff that goes into having all this work, right? It's like nonstop. Okay, it's over. Now, But that all of that goes into those fancy presentations of my best work and all. So the main thing that I wanted to start with is like everyone makes bad drawings. Even if you are a good artist, like all the artists here, they make bad drawings as well, and they are constantly evolving. I don't think I'll ever stop. I think not now. Now I'm just like I love painting, and I don't think I'll ever stop doing this. So don't really think that it's all on you or only you do bad drawings. Everyone does it. Everyone. You just gotta stick to it and be like have a yeah, for doing all of this. I used to have like a proper schedule. Like today I'll be doing this, and then I'll just go out a little bit, like 5 minutes, and then I go back and do this. Yeah, going out is important as well, right? Because you don't want to just destroy your wrist or your back or anything. You really want to take care of yourself. Listen to Alberto Miogo when he said that. Yeah. So the main thing that I wanted to show you guys is you can be here if you just do all of the work, right? It's just doing all of the work, but just do it, you know? But I know it's like a lot of struggle, but that's exactly the only thing, right? There's no secrets. There are no secrets. You just see a painting and you think, oh my God, this guy has a gift or something, but there are no secrets at all. And I learned it on a hard way, like doing all the work and say, yeah, there's no secrets. Yeah. So yeah, that's the main thing. These are all like a lot of, basically 4 years ago or 5 years, I think 5 years ago when I started out digital painting, because I bought my tablet in 2010, actually, my first tablet, but I always drew. Like, don't think that I started out in five years ago. I never, when people ask me, like, when did you start out? I'm like, oh, I don't really know. I don't know a mic that doesn't draw, you know? It's weird. I cannot separate myself from drawing. When I was very young, like, when I was like, I think 4 years old or something, my grandfather, which, by the way, I dedicate this whole talk to. He's amazing back in Brazil. Yeah. Yeah. He used to give me those, like, he had a bar in Brazil. We had a lot of bars in Brazil. Yeah, we drink a lot, yeah. I actually don't drink, but people drink a lot. And they have these notes for people to pay, like, to write down the prices, and people pay it after. Then he gave me a lot of these, and I used to draw dinosaurs. I actually remember that. I used to draw like a dinosaur. Yes. And I used to give to people like from my city. I used to like, okay, here's your like change and a drawing. Yeah, I was just giving away my drawing. I didn't know. I should have been making a lot of money, but yeah, and like. I used to do that a lot. I always drew, right? I always drew. And people sometimes people think that, oh, okay, if I draw like 5 years, I'll be that good. If I draw 2 years, I'll be that good. But there's not really like a specific time. It's just like everyone has its own time, right? So yeah, I've been drawing my whole life, just studying a lot, basically. And not all of those studies I'm proud of. One thing that I really wanted to make sure that you guys understand. Not all of the studies I'm glad that I did, because some of them were just really, I don't know what I'm doing. I was just painting and just didn't learn anything because I was not focused. So one thing that is very important to you guys, be focused when you're studying and have courage. Like, be focused on what you wanted to learn. Just don't really draw what the people are drawing or what you think is going to be good. Just draw what you want to draw. Like, you know, I used to do that a lot, just drawing like, I think this is going to be good for people. People are going to like it. Nowadays, I really want to do this, and I just really want to do it for myself, like all the fan art stuff, like the Dota pieces, the Adventure Time pieces, I do it for myself, and I'm like mind blown that people like it. It's insane for me, right? So, yeah, overall, just don't take it for granted. Like, don't just believe that it's just, you have to study a little bit every day and just do some stuff. But if you really have a schedule and make stuff happen, you can do it. It doesn't matter where you come from, right? I I can truly say it doesn't really matter where you come from. I literally have had no one that did this in my city. I come from a part of Brazil that is not, is a satellite city from São Paulo, right? Which is not very, there's not a lot of concept art stuff going on there, you know? And I didn't care. I just didn't care. I would just do what I want to do with a passion in my heart, that I really like doing stuff with a passion in your heart, because I believe, like, when you do stuff that you believe in, you do a good job, right? You do a good job. I don't like doing stuff that I know I'm not gonna do my best. I try to do my best at everything that I want to do. No, so yeah, just realize that it's a lot of paintings. I'll probably like release that one day, like my whole fuck ups, like on the internet. Here's me, you know. But yeah, I'm gonna be very ashamed of that day. But yeah, maybe one day I'll release like a lot of paintings in a few years, or like 10 years maybe, I don't know. Yeah, it's gonna be cool. So yeah, that was the first part, like showing you guys a little bit of myself. I'm like really not, I really want to close that down now, can I? I was really, oh God, okay. And I had drawings that are older than that one and the other ones, but they're like kept on a very specific place that I'll never show to anyone, okay? So yeah, so as all of you guys know, this talk is going to be about color, right? It's going to be about how to choose color and how do I choose color. So this talk is something that I've been developing over the past, I don't know, 6 months or maybe 9 months. And I released the Gumroad on it, like when I started, and then after it, I started to just polish it, the talk, and try to know how people learn this. Like, by the way, I teach in Brazil right now. I teach some digital painting classes, so a lot of this talk comes from my classes, right? Comes from me trying to make people in Brazil understand that thing that I understood. And all of the things that I'm going to say about color are my personal view, right? Really just, it's not something that you should take it for granted or just believe it's true. Just try to see if you can understand it and make sense for you, right? And if it makes sense for you, which I hope it will, right? I think it's going to help you to choose colors better, because choosing colors is pretty hard in Photoshop. And yeah, I know how it is. It's like weird. So let's do this. Oh, it's already here. Okay, fancy opening. Nice. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to mention is, like, whenever people think about color, they always think about the final color. Like, they always think about, okay, I have this bluish, they see a final painting, a finished painting, and they think about, oh my God, all these colors and weird stuff happening. But I start very simple. Like, everyone that goes crazy with color starts very simple. So I wanted to stay simple. I like simple concepts, right? I like staying with the most simple things that I can get. I'm not very smart, I think, so I really like to nail it down to a simple statement. And when I'm painting, it's not about a difficult decision or a hard thing. It's only about simple decisions, a lot of simple decisions. A lot of the times I compare painting to juggling, which is weird, you know, I know, but how is it similar? Because, you know, when you're juggling and you see a professional juggler, I don't know how to juggle, so I'll just do this, okay? So when you see a professional juggler, he's like doing 7 balls at the same time in a Cadillac and something, or just something weird, and you see, whoa, I want to do that. I want to be able to juggle. What do then? You just grab 7 balls in a Cadillac and you try it, and you fail, right? Right away. You fail right away. Why? Because you're doing it wrong. How do you learn it then? You learn by having 1 ball, right? You learn by having 1, then having 2, and then 3, and then slowly build it up. When people are painting, a lot of the times they are getting ahead of themselves. Like a big problem from the students that I try to teach is like, oh, I really want the finished painting, I want the rim light, let's do this, and it fails so fast, because it's a lot like juggling. It gets hard to manage a lot of things at once. So don't manage a lot of things at once. Manage one thing at a time when you're painting. So don't do color and composition and just think about the pose and just think about the characters and just think about the. Stop. Think about one thing at a time. If you see all the artists that are here, they are very specific with their process. They're like, oh, I'm doing this right now, and then I'm doing the color, and then I'm doing this. They are very specific, right? They're very separated, and they know where they are in the process. To know where you are in the process is also a very important, a key thing, I think, to having good colors and having a good painting. Just slow it down and think about it, just all the way. It doesn't have to be fast. It doesn't have to, like, I think that's weird. Like, people associate painting with time. Like, this is a sketch, so it has to be done fast. The word sketch is not really a time measure. Have you ever thought about it? The word sketch doesn't mean that it was done fast. It means that it's not finished. But it doesn't mean that the people's like, wow, it's crazy doing it. It doesn't mean that. And most of the time, the slower you are, the better it is. Like when you think about it and just try to really focus on every step. So first step, let's think about this. We have a little ball here because it's actually huge here, but yeah, this is like the simplest, I think like the simplest way to explain colors, like having a simple object with a color and affecting it with some sort of light and seeing what happens, then coming back to understanding in other situations. So everyone knows this, right? When I look at this, you all know that this is the color picker, right? The color picker of Photoshop. The color picker of Photoshop. Why? Why is it hard? Because I think the color picker of Photoshop is a very complex tool given to a very non-professional person yet. So it's like you give a surgical instrument to a person who just started medical school, right? It's hard to use because you have a lot of things and you have a lot of, it's hard to use because you can have so much control. You have control over hue, saturation, brightness. You can change it all and just everything changes. And when you don't know that, and you just, okay, I think blue will work. I hope blue will work. It doesn't. Okay, I think yellow will work. And that is not the way of picking colors, right? You can pick colors that way, but it's probably not going to have a good painting in the end. So the thing is, thinking about the color picker, let's see it again. Let's see it here. Okay. Thinking about the color paint, the color picker, it's very simple because here, this was something to test the brushes. So yeah, thinking about the color picker of Photoshop. Can you see the all colored thing on the right here, the middle? It's called hue. It's called hue, right? You can change the hue of your color. What is the hue of a color? It's a lot related to what color it is. Like if it's blue, or if it's red, or if it's green, it's pretty easy to understand, right? Okay, I need you guys to understand this. Okay, so what about this area here? It changes first the saturation and then the brightness, right? It's a graph then. This thing, this square thing is actually a graph. On this axis, you have the saturation, more to the right, more saturated, and more to the left, less saturated, right? And the vertical axis is actually controlling the brightness. The more you go up, the brighter it is. The less you go up, the less bright it is, right? Simple. The thing is, you have to combine those three, right? The thing is, I have to change the brightness to here, saturation here, and hue here. Easy, right? It's hard, actually, to do all at once. When you're starting out and you're giving such a complex tool, it messes you up. And I think that's why picking colors on Photoshop is way harder than picking colors on traditional, because traditional, it's way more intuitive, right? You have all the colors there, and I'm gonna choose this. So you grab the color, open it, put it in. You have a lot of time to just, oh no, that is not gonna work. And just stop. On Photoshop, just pick a new color, destroy the painting, destroy it a little bit more. Yeah, it's fucked up. And then you close. Yeah, it's really fast for that. as well. So the thing is, don't go fast. Just try to build it up. Just try to think about every step and why would you choose each color, right? So let's do it together, right? Let's do it. So, yeah. You have, every object has its own base color. What do I call the base color? It's the color of the object almost without light. Not fully without light, because without light everything would be like black, pitch black, right? Without any light, nothing would be seen, right? So this is the color that I call to the objects at very minimal light, like 3D. You know 3D? You have like the standard light or some sort of thing, and I like to imagine every object has its own natural color, original color. Some people call it local color, is a very common term as well. So a lot of people say that this color is like estimated. It doesn't have to be precise, because if we didn't have light, we have it all black. So I try to imagine some sort of thing in the middle of this thing right here, like a little bit down, because I try to imagine the object without much light in it. So the brightness then is very low, okay? And I try to imagine, like, if I want this ball red, I try to imagine some sort of red, okay? That's pretty easy, one step at a time, okay? So, okay. We also know that there are lights on things. So this is the color of my light. In this case, it shows a very simple light. It's a blue light. So the thing is, the color of the light is very hard to predict as well, because how do you know a specific color of a light? You just estimate it. You get better at it, of course. You just try to imagine a color and a general area on the graph that would fit. And of course, that point, the second point of the color of the light, is going to be up more. It's going to be like higher up than the other, because a light is brighter than the object, right? Is that okay? So you have those two, right? Right now, you can imagine the hue and saturation and brightness of the color, and you have the hue, saturation, and brightness of the object. So having those 2 points on 2 different graphs, you just have math in front of you, which is magical. Color is all about math, in my opinion. It's not like whimsical, weird, and just making magic and colors. Yeah, it's a lot about math and a lot about knowing how the logic works for color, to be honest, like in my opinion. So yeah, if you have those colors, the first wrong way of doing it, and it's okay if you do it, you can come here, we can talk a bit later, but the first wrong way of doing it is to lighting an object is having the color of the object. Okay, so it's going to be bright, right? Because the light is hitting the object and making it bright. So let's just jump it to white, let's just bring it to white as much as we can. And then you have something like this, right? So that's the first wrong way that a lot of people do. They just brighten it up. So they just make it a brighter red on this case, which is totally wrong. Why? Because the color of the light is blue, right? So there's the second case where the person is a little bit like more complex and he thinks about the color of the light, right? And what does he do? He just selects the color of the light and he imagines that he tries to figure it out what color is going to be. Then, okay, it's the blue. So I grab my soft brush and I just whoosh on my object. That's also super wrong. Why? Because you're just thinking about the color of the light. You just ignore the object. So when you do that, it's okay. Some people are like, oh, yeah, it's okay. So when you do that, you're just completely ignoring the color of the object. So that way, even if you do it like low opacity, some people do it as well. Like they just grab some sort of color for the light and just try to lower the opacity. So to see if it works, that's also not going to get like good colors right away. It's really hard to get good colors like that. It's not that it's never going to happen, but it's really hard to do it, right? So I just explained to you like the two weird ways of having color affect the object. So if it's not only considering the color of the object, and not only considering the color of the light? How it is then? Both, right? It's considering the object and the light. So how do you do that? You just compare the points. Let's just do math, kids. So I named them. Let's just name them. So the first, the object, right? I have 1 is the hue of the object, and A is the point in the graph between. Okay, this is a painting class, right? So A is the point in the graph between the saturation and the brightness of the object, right? So 1A is the color of the object. And B2, 2 is the hue of the light, and B is the actual color, the point with the saturation and the brightness of the light. You can see that A is way lower than B. It has always to be like that, because an object without light cannot be lighter than the light that's hitting it, right? It doesn't make any sense to say that, right? So when you think about it, it's very easy. So you just have to merge it down. You just have to think about it all at once. What do I mean by that? I just made it all one thing. So you can see like 2 and 1 and A and B. And you can start seeing relations about these things. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. Why? Why is it nice? Because it's much more clear now. What do I have to do to get good light and good color? I have to just make things work, right? So how? First of all, the hue stripe thing is not actually a stripe. It's a circle. Yeah? Yes, it's a circle. It's a circle, guys. Thank you. So the thing is, thinking about a circle is way easier than thinking about a stripe. I said it's a very hard tool because a stripe is not really logical when you think about it by choosing colors, because colors don't start and end. They are just they never end, like a circle, right? So when you're thinking about the hue difference, you can see that there's a long way between them. I can go back to show you guys. You can see that between that space, there's a long way and there's a short way, right? And I showed it here, right? Which way should we go from the color of the object to the color of the light? The short way. Why? Because it's easier. It's like closer. You just have to yeah. And that's always the rule? Yes, it's always the rule. So the thing is, when you see the relation between the color of the object and the color of the light, the hue relation is always going to be the shortest distance between one to another. Is that true always? Is that how you do it? Yes, it is. It's yeah, it's just this. Yeah. So you can see that the long way is wrong. And why? Why the long way is wrong? It's easy to understand when you think about actual paint, right? Let's think about actual paint. So you have this red thing, right? You are adding blue. You're basically having a red ball and you're adding blue to it. So what's going to happen? Of course, it's going to turn yellow and green. No, not at all. That doesn't make any... Does that make sense to you? It's like really weird to have those two combine into that, right? Think about your classes in primary school, like, okay, I can mix colors. Remember when you were like mixing colors with paint and just painting with your hands and just doing crazy things? That was super important in your career, artistically, right? Why? Because they taught you this, the color mixing. Like, you cannot have a red thing plus a blue thing turn into a green thing, can you? So it's always going to be like that. So that makes sense, right? You can have like a red thing with a blue thing making purple things. Does that make sense? Right? Yeah. So that's cool. It's always going to be like that. Doesn't really matter the way that you do it. So if you go back here, if you go back here and compare it, it's always going to be the shortest way to the color. You just got to just slide it, because this is a slider, so it's just slide it towards the color of the light. You have to just come from the color of the object and it's going to be affected towards the color of the light, right? It's going to turn, it's going to be different. It's going to transform like you guys. So, yeah. So let's compare the other part, the BA thing, like the A to B thing. So the first one was easy. We just had to compare like 2 points, and it was pretty easy. So the second part is a bit more complex. And remember, getting more and more complex as I go, right? It's going to add up to a weird thing. So seeing the relation from A to B right now. So you can see that A is the color of the object, the original color, local color, whatever color, and B is the color of the light. So you can see one point in the graph, and you can see the other point in the graph. What we have, kids? We have the perfect rectangle of happiness right there. Why? Because that area right there is all the possible colors that that object is going to turn into on that light situation. Is that all? Yes. So the thing is, if you grab A and B, you see that there's an entire space between them, which is again, it's not really there. We're just creating this, right? It's not really there. The object doesn't have a real original color because everything would be black, and the light doesn't have a original color because it's hard to tell. So we just created all of this to explain something that's very practical, right? So first of all, you slide the hue, and then you slide the saturation and the brightness. How do you slide it? So the thing is, that makes sense now, does it? You have a red object and on a blue light, and it's turning into some purple stuff, right? And that is all there is. And it works with every color of the light and the object, right? It works every time. So the thing is that, first of all, you're not painting balls. You're painting like orcs and dragons and stuff, so it's harder, right? And the thing is that you're not thinking about all of this when you're painting. You're just, have to go, have to do this. And you're rushed. So the key to understanding this, all of this that I'm saying, is not rushing it. It's just making one step at a time, just using the hue first, and then the saturation and brightness, and slowly having the final colors. I call that area the final color area, the resulting color. And why is it hard as well? Because when you see a finished painting, you can understand that this object is not super orange, it's just under an orange light. And your eyes can see it, and your brain can understand it. That's why it's hard for you, because you cannot already tell what's good, but you cannot make it. You're just depressed because you cannot get to that point. You just can understand a good painting that does that, right? I know that everyone here can see that right now. So the thing is, you don't mistake the color. You just know that this is not a purple ball. This light is just on a red light, and that's making it purple. So that's changing the color in a way. So your eyes understand it, and your brain as well. Simple. I like simple concepts, right? I like staying with the most simple things that I can get. I'm not very smart, I think, so I really like to make decisions. And having those 2 points, don't mistake the color. You just know that this is not a purple things that are very important for you. So here's the color of the object, and here's the color of the light, right? How much do you go depends on this. First of all, material. Material is going to change how much the color is going to go towards the color of the light or stay on the color of the object, right? I'll explain that a bit later. Distance. You can all see that the distance always affects how much the color changes, and the light affects the object, right? Because if light has to travel more, it loses more. Well, there's people sitting on the floor right there. So cool. Yeah, so if light has to travel more, it loses more strength, right? because it's traveling more. It's like a car. It's losing strength. So it's never getting stronger when the distance goes like higher. So the distance is always a factor. Intensity of the light. So the more intense the light, the stronger the effect it is. So if you have a very strong light, like a rim light that we all love, you're gonna like make it way more towards the color of the light, and almost ignore the color of the object. Can you ignore completely the color of the object? Not really. Like, technically, no. Why? Because if the light is exactly the same color on the light and on the object, you just have a 100% strong light, a 100% close light. It just doesn't work. So you can go very close, but never exactly towards the color of the light. It's always towards that. You're just aiming for it. And always, the color is going to change as well. If you have a blue light, it's going to change. If you have a yellow light, everything changes depending on the color, right? So it's pretty easy, right? You just have to do those steps and understand why the color picker is there for you, and why are you not thinking about the things that it meant? Like, it's a beautiful graph that helps us all, and we all should love it, right? So yeah, just thinking about these things is very important. So material. It's pretty simple. If you have a material that's 50% reflective, think about the word, like it's like if reflects 50% of the light that hits it. So 50% of the color of the light is gonna be reflected towards us. So how much do you want to go towards the color of the object, towards the color of the light from the color of the object? 50%. It's like a relation, right? If the object is 95% reflective, you will go 95% towards the color of the object, the light, right? And the object changes a lot. That looks way more reflective, right? Because it's showing way more the actual specularity and the actual light source. You can sometimes even have the reflection of the light source on the object, which we call highlight, right? That's the definition of highlight. It's the reflection of the light source on the object. So if you have a 5% reflective object, it's going to go 5% towards the color of the light. Is it that simple? Yeah, it is that simple. You just have to just do it all the time when you're painting. Like, I like to compare it a lot to like basketball or some games. Like, it's easy to understand basketball, right? You understand what Michael Jordan is doing when he's playing basketball. You just cannot do the same thing. So with painting is the same for me. It's easy to understand, but it's really, really hard to do. Go. The what? Yeah, no, think about one thing at a time. That's what I said. You just try to one step at a time. You just stop thinking about reflection of the environment or reflection of whatever. Just think about one thing at a time. Just like a 3D render, when you guys see like a demo reel or something, like it's one step at a time. Yeah, passes, like one pass at a time. I do paint like that, and you will see soon. Like, think about each thing at its own time. So the next logical step is, what happens here? What happens when the distance is actually the same? There's no short way. Because if it's a circle, there has to be a short, the same distance between those, right? I know you smart kids thought about that, right? So what happens here? What happens when the distance is actually the same? And there's no short way to help us. So the thing is that when there's no short way, we gotta go with this, guys. Because when there's no short way, we call those colors a very special name, which is complementary colors. Why? Because they are so different that they complement each other. When you take one out, the other goes in. Like, it's very poetic, it's very beautiful. So the thing is, you have to know that these are the same. The bottom one and the upper one, they are the exact same. Why? Think about black and white. It's easy. When you add more white, you take black out. It's, it's, never, it's never the case to add more black and more white. And what happens then? So the thing is, when you make it dark, either you make it darker or brighter. If you add more black and more white, you just don't change it, right? So the thing is, complementary colors are the same. The more blue something has, the less orange something has. Does that make sense? And it's always like that? Yes, it's always like that. So the thing is, blue and orange don't exist together. They cannot exist together. The thing is, they are opposite. They are complementary. Yeah? So that's the thing. That's the name. That's where the name comes from. They are complementary. They complement each other, right? It's simple, but it's hard to do, right? It's simple to understand and hard to do. So when you think about this and really understand that, the more yellow, the more orange you have, the less blue you have, and understand that, okay, if I make an object less orange, is it going to be appearing more blue? Yes. So saturation is there for that. The whole point of saturation is, okay, so we have a very bright orange, and you have a bluer orange. Can you all guys see that part is it actually looks bluer somehow? It's bluish. Like if you compare it to the orange, and then look, like all you guys, look at the orange for 3 seconds, and then look at this area. Doesn't it appear to be like a little blue? Isn't that weird? Why? Because of all of that I just explained. Because they are complementary. They don't exist. They don't exist together. They only exist in opposite directions, right? So the thing is, when you're having a blue light, a blue object under a very orange light, you can go very desaturated, and it's gonna look orange. It's not orange, it's that color. Can you guys all see that? And when you put more blue into the background, it looks really orange. It is orange, Mike. No, it's not. No, you can just pick the color after the talk, please. And then you'll see that it's not actually orange. It's just something less blue. Because a blue less blue is a blue more orange. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. That is all I need, right? Thank you. The thing is that if you have a very strong orange light, maybe it's gonna turn the object, even if it's blue, towards orange. But it's really hard. You have to have a very strong light and a very close light. It has to be a very specific situation. So the first thing I have to tell you is try to avoid the situations at the beginning. Just try primary colors at the beginning. Just try to understand and study that. Like, okay, I have a green light under a green object under a blue light, or something simple, and then you start having all those complex ideas, right? Just build it slowly. Right? So the thing is, it's all really just illusions. Colors are illusions all the way. And actually, they are less important than values and all of the other things. I love colors, but I know that they are less important than value. You always have to have good value before you have good color. I love color. Color is good, but value is way more important than composition and everything. Like color is like fancy, yeah, cool. It's almost like that. But you can do really cool stuff with color like this, or just have really weird situations and make it weird and look good, right? So this image that I did, I think we all can agree that this is a yellow light, right, on the character. It's a yellowish light. But did I put yellow on the character? Not at all. Not at all. All those areas are actually different colors, but none of it is yellow. We have some orange. We have some like purplish grays, yeah, and purplish reddish grays too. So all of it is just making it less saturated to understand that this is being lit by a complementary color of light, you know? So there's no yellow. It's it's all magic, right? It's all illusion. Color is illusion, right? So you can all see that this is just like this is just like really desaturated. You can see that they are on this area of the graph, and you can see that it's very desaturated, different colors. A kind of a rule that I like to have is, if you want to be, because this light is strong, right? If you want to make it strong, you can bring it to the warm side of the color wheel, right? Can go here. If you have a cool object, like a blue object, for instance, being lit by a warmish yellow light, you can bring it towards this area, like this upper area, right? Because if you have a blue object being lit by a yellowish light, orangey light, you can make the effect more evident if you go towards the warmer side of the color wheel, right? Does that make sense? And if you have a cool light, you go to the cooler side of the color wheel. You know, it's just it. Yeah, yeah, that's it. So the thing is that if you think about simple stuff and make it simple for yourself, like I did for myself, this is all things that I kind of made up to make it easier for myself and make like more sense on colors. If you make it easier and simple for yourself, you will get better, and you will make better paintings with color, I think. And also, if you try to have simple concepts towards like all the other stuff in painting, I think it's gonna help. I always liked simple concepts, like when I'm thinking about line, when I think about values, it's always simple. The simplest the better for me, right? I don't like very complex stuff that I have to think about everything at once. So the thing is, you will get better at this. You will, the first time, like you're, okay, I understand you now. You're just looking at this and say, okay, I can do that. It's easy. I'll just get home and do this. Maybe it's not going to work today, okay? So maybe you have to do it a few times before it works, but you have to do it. You have to just do it. Yeah, a lot of times. So you got a good grasp on it. Because when you see a painter select colors, it's just so fast, right? You see Adrian Smith painting, or just, I don't know, Ian McKay painting, it's just a pum, 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 pum. It looks like a really fast, and it looks like he's not thinking about it. He is thinking about it, but he's thinking very fast because he did it like a lot of times. So the first times, don't be rushed. Just move one thing at a time. Like I took like 50 minutes or 40 minutes to explain this. Take 15 minutes to just select the right color, because being fast at painting is not about actually being fast. It's about making less mistakes, right? The things that slow you down are the things that you do wrong, because you have to fix it. Painting takes time because you have to fix it and fix it again and fix your mistakes, and then, it's all wrong, and you just close it down, right? It's hard because of that. When you see a fast painter, like you see Kim Yoon-ji drawing, for instance, it's not that he's drawing super fast, it's that he's not making mistakes. It's just like slowly building everything up. Not that slowly, he's pretty fast, but yeah, he's building it up, yeah? So the thing is that he's not making mistakes, and that's what makes him fast. And when you see a painting that is done in 20 minutes or 30 minutes, you think, oh, he was so fast, I'll be fast as well. Let's do this. And you start retraining your hand to move really fast. It doesn't work, right? You have to slowly make good decisions, and the good decisions will inform your final piece and your good drawing, right? The thing is that you have to make good decisions. So all of this that I just did, it kind of helps me when I'm trying, when I was struggling, it helped me. When I was struggling with color, like I was trying to figure out a way of making it make sense in my mind, you know? Like, because colors always were that weird thing that I thought that people would just do and have in their paintings, like Sam Nielsen at the time. I remember seeing his work, and I was like, I think he just does things. Then I just learned that he actually knows a lot about color and knows about a lot about light. So that's really cool. Like, yeah, a lot of my stuff is based on his stuff and a lot of other people's work. This is not, I didn't create this. I didn't invent this. This is all things that were there in nature. I used to like observe a lot of still lifes and see, okay, how color, please come to me. How are you working on this object? And I was just trying to understand it, trying to make it clear for myself. And it comes a lot with that. So do a lot of that, and you will find your own way of doing things. And finding your own way of doing things, like I did with color, it's very good because it makes you like you. It makes you you, like Ian McKay was saying. You have to figure out things that make you you. You are the best, the most important thing in your life, of course, right? So, yeah, let's do a little demo now, okay? Woo. So I want you to pick a color, like any color. Yeah. A what? Red. Okay, I want you to pick another color. Green. Oh, a fancy one. Okay, let's do this. So I have a few dragons that I did on my fancy sketchbook from that I bought like yesterday, and I think I'm going to do some dragons today because dragons are cool. I have a few dragon designs here that I'm looking, so it's not all from my mind. Like most of the time that I'm doing a speed painting or something is almost always from my mind, but not in front of a lot of people, okay? So yeah, just having a, this one's cool. The secret is I paint with the mouse as well, so no. Just imagine, can you imagine that? Just, yeah. I'm starting to learn, but yeah, it's gonna take a while. So, okay. First of all, I want to do like a pretty dark background. I like to start dark. As I said, I start with the natural color, the original color, the local color, whatever you want to call it, and I build it up slowly. So if you see, like most of my paintings start on this area. I'm almost never start on this area because it's harder to control for me. Right? It's getting better slowly, but it's still hard to control, right? After a lot of years studying, it's still very hard to control. So we will have a pretty red dragon in here. So I have a few designs. I have a pretty cool red dragon here. Okay, this one. What? Okay. Okay. Okay, so when I pick my colors, what value would I pick for sort of a white object? So the thing is, most of the times I would already, when I'm painting for a client, I'm already considering the light of that I'm going to use on that painting because I want to speed up things. I don't want to be like doing all the work. I just want to speed up things. So sometimes I will just like, okay, so let's just erase this. Sometimes I'll just pick up something like this. If I know the color is going to be, the color of the light is going to be like bluish, I already pick sort of yellowish or orangey color for the shadow area because I know that this is going to make the blue lights going to appear more blue. So I can just test it. I can just that comes a lot with experimentation, like seeing white objects and seeing how they react to light, and then, okay, I'm going to do that. So most of the times I just start, okay, something like this. Let's try. Some sort of reflected light. Let's try. I hope it works. Yeah, so something like this. Maybe darker. Even if it's white, I can use like a darker value in this. And of course, it depends a lot on the material, right? It depends. Even if it's white, if I have sort of like a blue light, I can just go from, this is like yellow, so I'll go from yellow towards blue. It's like glitching a bit, but I'll go towards blue. I really want a very strong light, so I'll do something like this, you know. It's going to appear more blue, like under a blue light, and maybe I'll just make it stronger by darkening a little bit the car area, like this. And then you can see that it looks like a sort of a white object under a blue light, not very blue light, a very pretty white light, but it looks like a white object, you know. So it always depends on the material, all the things that I mentioned, like the material, the intensity, the color, and the distance, right? I don't know how I remember all this, but yeah, it always depends on the exact material that I'm working with. If it's a white object but it's not very reflective, from like it's, nah, it's like it's not gonna be super. It's not gonna be super strong. The this distance maybe gonna be a bit like this. I don't know, like something like this, right? I don't know. It changes a lot depending on the painting that I'm doing, the specific object. That's why I like this big rule because it applies to everything that I do, and it's hard. I like these things like rules that apply to everything that I do because it gets easier, right? Okay, so yeah, that's a good thing. You can ask questions if you want, and I can try to answer it. So raise your hand. People are gonna bring you a mic, and not me, the mic. And there, you can, yeah, you can ask just someone, just yeah, yeah, and you can ask whatever you want. Okay. So just try to build a shape right now. I like to use like pretty chunky brushes, like this one, and also, never mind, it's not working. Okay, cool. So I'm working with the silhouette right now because I just watched Moby Frankis do his thing, so I just really want to be better with that. Yeah. So I really like cartoony stuff, as you guys seen. I think cartoon is the way to go. The cool thing is that not always I stay with the same color because I have something good called Photoshop. So I can just make it darker if I want it, make it more saturated or less saturated. I think that's very good. So as this is a very simple demonstration of it, I can just start with a very basic shape and I build it up slowly, right? So sometimes I like to just draw the character just so I can know the structure under it and think about design a little bit. So I'm just ignoring all colors right now, even if this is a color demo. I'm just ignoring the colors and just drawing the shape. With line, with shape, I don't care. I just want to draw something with whatever tools I have, like line, shape, whatever. It all is all there for like showing form. And form is the most important thing. So yeah, I'm doing like a dragon with a big mouth because I really like those. Yeah, cool. I make noises when I'm painting, so excuse me. I'll try not to here, but yeah, home, it's crazy. Like, bam, yes, those things like that all the time. Yeah, so I did this on a new layer so I can change my mind again. Again, it's like having a specific part of the process in your mind, right? So I'll have this big thing here. Maybe he's going to have like this. Yeah, I think he needs like something like this. Okay, so what I can do now is like make a new layer and already go to the final color of the dragon. So I'm picking like a pretty fancy brush so I can have a bit of texture. So this is a red dragon, right? Under a very green light. One thing that we could do is make the red way less saturated, something like this, and it's going to appear a bit greenish, especially if we do like a background that is very green. So to emphasize that, I really want a very red actually. So I really want to make this very red or orange in this case. Like can do some different tones as well, right? Something like this. And I won't use the fancy brush then. So I'll make the actual color of the dragon to appear very and change it a bit towards oh, this is already super green, but it's not green, it's like yellow right now. Can you see? And it looks pretty green. It's weird. Yeah, it's color. So think about shapes. I like to think about light on, like hitting the object. I really love to paint with light when I do my paintings. I just try to think about how light hits the object and how the object is affected by it. So I'm thinking about a top right sort of light in this. His mouth is big. Okay, yes, it's pretty big. So, because it's always is when I do designs like this. So, a really weird thing that some people do sometimes is mix a lot their colors. So that's one thing that maybe you do is like if you paint like this, you will understand what I'm saying, like this and this. And the color pick and paint, color pick and paint, color pick and paint, color pick and paint, color pick and paint. Just do that a lot of times. A lot of people paint like that. That is, it's not wrong because there's no wrong way, but it's way harder to do because you get new colors every time that you mix two colors, right? If you think about it, it's real quick. I really need to show this. So if you have two colors, especially if they are complementary colors, like you have sort of, okay, so let's use this yellow thing and this purple thing, right? Pretty close, pretty complementary colors, right? So when you mix those colors, like if you have this and do that and do that, do that, each time you do it, it gets more gray. Like if you compare it, it is already super gray. Like see these original colors and see the new one? It's like already super gray. And I just did like 2 seconds of that. Imagine like an entire day of color picking and color picking and color picking. So either you just adjust it later, which is harder because you just paint in the wrong way and just fix it later, which is weird. It's easier to paint on the right way already. So either you do that, or you just actually select colors, more colors manually. So I use Color Picker. It's a good tool, but not all the time. Try to avoid it. It's like a huge deal. I see a lot of people painting like that, just color picking and just rendering forever, and then doing a lot of things like this. So try to avoid it. You're gonna have more control over your paintings, I think. So cool. I think this is not necessary. So right now I'm painting this sort of light hitting the dragon right now, like this. And I have a few tools. What? What? Question? Okay, ask your question. Wait, sorry. I think you might need a mic. He's bringing you the mic. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
So this color is really well, works really well with the solid color, like only red or blue or orange. How about rainbow and then get green lighting?
What about rainbow?
Yeah, for example, like a rainbow's color.
What do you mean by rainbow color?
Yeah, because this is like red now, for example, and then getting a green light. But my dragon, for example, rainbow, is a lot of color in it.
What do you mean by that? I'm not sure.
Come on. You have your dragon is red dragon, but my dragon, for example, has a lot of color: green, red, blue, orange. It's really full color, and I need like a light, only green light. It's getting really complicated, and if it's manual, it takes a lot of time. Is it something simple, for example, using like a filter, overlay, or multiplay, or something like that?
Oh yeah, good question. Cool, yeah. The
because it can be really crazy if it's full color or texture or something like that.
Yeah. So okay. So I can show you like a finished PSD. Oh, for God's sake! Please open with Photoshop. Okay. So one thing that I do. It's like way easy to show. Like this is a sketch that I did a while ago. Remember, it's not about the time. Yeah, so this, okay, so I can show you this. It's better to show you like this. So first of all, I did a line drawing. I just separated a time to do the structure, first the gesture, then the anatomy, then the structure. And I did like, and the design as well. So I did all of this at once because I really wanted to do a simple, like, every step separated, like, you know. And so I did the gestural drawing, and then I just added a background, and I painted it with some flat colors. You can see that. I just used the flat brush, just doing some colors, right? Just need to take this off. Okay. So these are just flat colors. One trick that I use is, I know that this is like things that I did after I understood all of this, right? Ways that I could like use shortcuts or whatever to get the result quicker. I found out like a lot of different ways. One of those is using a hard light layer, mostly for cool light, because I know that I'm on this image. I knew that I wanted a very cool light source on the character. So what I do is I just grab a pretty orange color, because it's going to be the color of the shadow, right? Because if the light is blue, the shadow must be orange, then it's as simple as that. So I just do the entire, this is just a hard light layer. Yeah, this is just the entire shapes of the shadow. If I turn it off, it's like I just use yeah, it's weird, right? I just use the line to guide me as I do this. I just select this sort of dark, dark orange, and I just do shadows, and then I just do more saturated sometimes because I want to do like a subsurface scattering. That's like a more complex thing as well. So I just do everything on on this layer, on hard light, and I have the entire light situation here. Because when I do it like that, I only have to select the color once, which is orange, and I just think about shapes, light, shapes, light, shapes, light, shapes, light, and just focus at it, as I said, juggling with one ball at each time. I'm juggling only with light right now. And then I'll start with colors. Of course, I had some base colors in here, and then like the rest of the way is it's pretty like you can understand what I'm doing. Like this is a color dodge layer on top of it to emphasize the light. So make it like, because I really like strong light, I'm like, I don't know, I love it. And I really wanted to emphasize the really cold light in here. So the thing is, every object, it's its own base color. As I just said to you guys, I just did like last week on the paint. So just making everything, the shadows first, and then the light later. And then this is just a...
in this case, did you like painting manual for the light, or you use a filter?
With a what, sorry?
Did you manual painting like each object like manual, or you use a filter for the light?
No, it's not you mean like the colors
manual,
are
that means
selected
you
manual?
paint each object.
Yeah. I just the actual base color of every object. I just thought about the color that I imagine each object to be. Some of them are, I know they're going to be like brighter. Like for instance, I know that the skin is going to reflect. You learn this stuff like as you go, like as you study. I said, like I said. So I know that this skin is going to be more like brighter and more reflective. So I went with a pretty bright color, right? You can see that this is actually right in the middle. It's not really dark. And the same with the teeth. You can see like this is pretty. See like. It's like the same thing that I mentioned with the white object. Okay, can you grab the mic to her? So yeah, I just selected the base colors, then did this, and bam! This is like hours of work, but it's like only one layer, so it looks really quick. But it's like hours of me just trying to figure out the shape and how light affects it, and reflected light, and also just cast shadows and form shadows, like everything. So it's just having a simple process. It really helps. It's just, and the rest is basically just fiddling around, just making more designy things, losing some edges. That's important here. Like I was like doing some loss. You can see like this. I lost some edges in there, and this is basically like the final painting that I posted online. You can see that. It gets more complex, but it starts really simple. The thing is that to do a complex painting like this, I'm never like thinking about complex stuff. I'm just thinking about a lot of simple stuff, you know. So it's the same thing. Not always I'm going to use this process of line or shape. I don't really care to have like one specific process. I really like to have like a variety of processes. So in this case, I can just do some hard light, and I'm just adding more red, because if the light is green, the actual shadow area should be more towards red. So making it like this, okay, making it clear is very important. So, okay, so this, I'm doing right now some sort of core shadow, yeah, core shadow in this. And sometimes I just like to use the smudge too on the light area. It's very weak, so I really like to use the smudge too to mix my colors, to make the transitions, because most of the times that people use the out of, I know you do that, the most of the time that people use the out, the color picker of Photoshop, they use it for transitions. So I try to avoid using for every transition, because it makes everything, I lose control really easily. I just go with crazy colors and have to do hundreds of layer adjustments later. And I don't like doing it. I just like going straight to the fountain. So sometimes I can do things like I paint the light area, then I'm erasing this area so it looks like scales. What? Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yes, the core shadow is always a darker version of the original color that I put. Maybe a more saturated because it's more pure. Like the core shadows area, the core shadow is actually the purest area, because it's like the area that is farther away from the light. So it's the most different color from the light. If the light is orange, the core shadow should be way too blue, you know? Yeah, and way dark because it's not being hit by light. It's just simple. You did it. You just understood it. You did it by yourself. I didn't do anything. You had a question, right? What do I use hard light?
What is the difference with the normal fusion and hard light fusion of the layer? Why do you
what's the
use
difference
hard
between
light? Yes.
yeah, between the normal and the hard light? I'll show you. If you think only about the normal, like if you put this layer on normal, it's like it's like super orange. Like these are the actual colors that I selected when I was doing this, because it's on a normal layer. The difference is basically hard light. The thing about hard lights, when you use this area of the graph, it makes colors darker. That I don't know what's called hard light, because it makes darker. So when you use this area, it makes it darker, and then when you use brighter colors, you make it like brighter. So on the same layer that I do the hard light, I can already do some sort of reflected light if I want. So I'll just grab a pretty, no, oh, it's too bright, and I'm using the razor. Okay, so I can just grab a pretty saturated and bright color right now, and just I can do this. Yeah, so something like this, maybe darker. Even if it's white, I can use like a darker value in this. And of course, it depends a lot on the material, right? It depends, even if it's white, if I have sort of really light already, if I want, or some sort of like shiny thing, I can just already, this is too strong. I like to use it for darker tones as well, but sometimes I do the reflected light on the same layer as well. But it's basically me thinking, I really want one layer for the entire shadow, or I really want one simple process for an entire part of a painting, because I will get lost if you let me. So I really try to make it easier for myself. Sometimes painting is you making it easier for your future self, and this it goes and goes and goes, right? So it's not anything fancy or complicated. It's just simple concepts. But the hard thing is to get to those. Like, I discovered the hard light randomly. I was like, oh, let's test this. Let's experiment what happens here, or what if I did this, right? Or what happens if I do that? I do that a lot of my day. Every day after work, I like to do this, like experiment with random stuff. That's how I discover most of the stuff that I'm saying to you. Like a lot of days of experimentation, and a lot of those studies that I showed you before were experimentations, right? So these are I don't have much time to demo today, but I'll do a better demo at my workshop, I promise, because I'll have way more time. One other thing that I like to do is, because I actually just select very few, how can I say, select very few values, I like to enhance the values a little bit later. So sometimes I use the Dodge 2. Dodge 2 is your friend, is awesome. Like, I can use it here to enhance a little bit the turning of the form, it looks like it's turning better now, right? So here, maybe on this area, like this, maybe to look more like scales, because they shine on the connections between each other, like this. It's starting to look more and more and more like a physical thing, So it's cool to have all of this in once together, right? Doing it like this, I think. So yeah, it's just really thinking about simple stuff. So I can, one other thing that I would like to show you guys is the channels. It's a pretty useful thing. It's like the same thing, but you can use it in different ways. Again, I found out about that just randomly, just checking out things in Photoshop. So I merged all the layers down, and what the channels does is you paint on channels, right? You paint on RGB when you're painting. R being red, G being green, and B being blue. Yeah, that's it. So the thing is, you can enhance those colors by selecting a channel like this, or maybe selecting the red and the green channel. And what it does is it shows your painting without any blue. This is my painting without any blue, and this is my painting with blue. So what is this then? This is my painting with blue and green without any red, and looks very different because the monster is red, the dragon is red, so it looks very different. So what I do is I select 2 channels maybe in this area because I want to enhance the red plus the green, and I just use the, what? What? Yeah, I have them all visible, but I have the 2 channels selected, man. Yeah, yeah, that's actually important because when you do this, it's good to see all the channels because you see your painting as it is, right? So you just select red and green with the shift button, and you just click on the eye, just the eye. Don't click on everything because it will select everything again. So do this, and just select, and just select the eye, right? And what I do is I can do everything with this. I can do like adjustments on levels, making everything more towards red and green and less towards blue, or I can put the values that are bright less towards green and red, so more towards blue. I can just play with it whatever I want, and this is very harmful because you can destroy your paintings really hard. Like, I don't know, I'll try. Yeah, there you go. Like, it's really easy to mess up your paintings. And I can use, for instance, if I want this light to be more towards green, I can just select the green channel and just use the dodge tool to make it more green, and it looks like a more greenish light, right? And it's like pretty easy tool, right? It's just, if you want to make it green, just select the green channel. If you want to, yeah, it's just a tool for enhancements of the colors, right? It's pretty simple. So I have a lot of things like that I do in my paintings, like little tricks and things that I discover over the years regarding all those color things that I had to learn. But I always think that that basic understanding is the most important one, right? If you understand colors, the way, that way, it's gonna help. Like if you only know oh, I can use the hard light, and then you use the hard light and don't know why or don't know, you're gonna be very limited, right? You're gonna just know a little thing. But if you know the entire process, you can just discover new things. Like, oh, I could use hard light to make it more orange because the light works like that, and you can like create your own tools. And remember the thing that I said before, guys, that you guys are not alone, right? The thing is, I want to get back to that right now because the talk is ending. The thing is, I showed you guys a lot of things that I do and I find out by myself, but not by myself because I had a lot of help from the internet and from people that I just sent a lot of messages to. Like I used to send a lot of messages to artists, just want them to see my work, critique my work. So I'm not bothered at all for people to ask me for critiques because I did that so much. So I really owe like 1,000 critiques. So I have to give them back to people because I really owe them, right? To people that helped me on my career path, right? So the thing that I wanted to show you guys last is that you guys are not alone, right? You guys have each other. You guys have me. We all have each other to help each other get better and do better things in life and get better, right? And remember, so you guys seen that you're not alone here. So I brought to you guys a little bit about Brazilian artists. So just remember that you guys are not alone. Like these are all messages from Brazilian artists that I brought here.